All right, after the last shoot, I went home and cleaned this just to make sure that that increase in velocity wasn't due to the barrel being dirty. So I've got it cleaned, and what I did was load up from 64.9, 65.1, 65.3, 65.5, and 65.7. I do know that the barrel is speeding up, but some of that could have been caused by the barrel being dirty, and it was pretty dirty. So we've got it cleaned. I'm going to foul it with some, I've been shooting ADG brass. I'm going to foul it with some Norma brass just to gather some velocity, and we're going to shoot the steel plate next to it. I really don't care what the groups look like. Obviously, the first one might not even hit, but it's not going to be in the group, in my experience, with clean barrels. And then most likely it'll take 3 or 4 of them to get them to start acting up, settling down on velocity, and grouping. So we're going to shoot those, let it cool, and then we'll move on to testing the other ammo that we loaded. This first one is actually just ADG with the wrong seating depth I had left over. We're gonna foul it. Like I said, I don't even know if we'll hit the plate. Got a slight left to right wind. When I start shooting the actual mini ladder, or whatever you want to call it, I don't really care where it hits horizontally, but I do have a ½ minute dialed for wind. It was 2806. It did actually hit steel, and its elevation's good. Not that I really care. Its elevation's good, and it's probably a minute, right at a minute to the right. That's 2823. Elevation's still good. It was about a ½ minute left of the first shot. .2836. I can't tell where that one hit. We're gonna let that cool. This is, like I said, this Norma brass. The case capacity is a little bit lower, and it's actually 64.9 grains of Reloader 23. We'll let this cool for a minute. I may go down. There's I think that one was actually quite a bit to the right of the other two. I'm going to dial it. 2 more clicks left. Or fire 1 more, and then we'll let it cool. It's 2843. I don't see any signs of pressure on this Norma brass. It's usually a little softer, and like I said, the case capacity is a little smaller. We'll go ahead and I'm going to go down there and look at the target while this cools. Those are still favoring to the right. We've got it cooled down. I'll go ahead and shoot a couple more, let it cool, and then we'll start doing the continuation of the load development. .2831. .2822. 2879. That's kind of odd. Let this cool down, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the continuation of what load development. Alright, the barrel is cooled back down. We're gonna shoot these one powder charge at a time, starting at 64.9, based on the speeds that I was getting from the Norma brass. I would imagine these are going to be a little bit too slow, but that's fine. We'll work back into the node. It's 2819. $28.22. And it didn't get that. And those billet central dies made the bolt click better, but it didn't eliminate it. So I don't know. I may have to go with a custom die. It's just not sizing enough. But we'll go mark that, let this cool, and we'll come back and we'll move up. Alright, we got the target marked. The wind is picking up a little bit. I really anticipated it would fall off, and maybe it still will, it should. But this is 65.1. $28.22. $28.27. Still absolutely zero signs of pressure. It's only sizing about 2/1000ths even with the bullet central dies, and the Hornady dies are only sizing about 1/1000th. It's not enough. $28.12. We'll go mark the target. I don't think that's the node. They're still a little bit low. The ES those both have the 64.9 and the 65.1 had the same average velocity with a total ES of 16 all over the 5 shots. We'll go mark it and we'll keep going. Okay, target's marked, barrel's cool. This is going to be 65.3. $28.43. $28.40. $28.06. That's kind of odd. But we will go mark the target and continue. Barrel's cooled back down, target's marked. This will be 65.5. 28.32. $28.44. Still got round primers and no ejector marks. No increased bolt lift, it's just that last little click. $28.43. So it appears that what was happening this morning most likely was because the barrel was dirty. The speed up, I think, was very minute on this. We should be well past it. I'll go mark the target and we'll shoot this 65.7. And that one is 28.39 average with an ES of 12. That's right in where the node was. 28.39, 28.45, right in there is where the node was. Anyways, we're going to go down, mark this while this cools, and shoot the last one. All right, the target's marked again. Barrel's cool. This is 65.7. $28.38. $28.32. $28.37. Another ploy for somebody to make a competition for the. So that the last one ES was 5, average 28.36, and the previous one was 28.39 with an ES of 12. And there was nothing. The 30 or the 65.5 was not overwhelming in the accuracy, but the stability of the load is really good. The point of impact is not shifting at all, despite the fact that overall, we're probably a little over half minute. We'll go down and look at this target. I don't know what I'm going to do. The bolt click's not going to work for hunting rifle, so I'm either going to have to try to find some custom dies, or I really don't know, because we're way under a stiff bolt where it's actually difficult to lift the bolt, and there are no ejector marks. The primers are still round. The primer pockets still feel new. This isn't a pressure issue. It's the same thing we're running into with the 6.5 PRC, but with the WSM it really doesn't make sense because there's enough room there to size that case down. I may have to try to see if this happens with the Norma brass. Maybe I can tune a load with the Norma brass, but I imagine if it's going to do the same thing. If we're not sizing enough, we're not sizing enough. But that's it for today. We will look at the target. I'll kind of tell you what I think about it and go from there. All right, here's the total of all the shots we just shot at 500 yards. You can see the 65.3, the 65.5, and the 65.7 all pretty much had the same point of impact. There was a little bit of a left to right wind when I started shooting, and I think it caught that bottom right 65.3. The 65.7s are just under a half minute. I know the gun can shoot better than that, but I'll take that combination right there. You can see the point of impact doesn't shift much, and I can tell that it's going to be stable in a lot of different conditions. The concern I have is I've got to figure out how to get rid of this bolt click, or it's just not going to work. I'm going to try to do some development with Norma and see if it'll change, but I don't see that it will, because I'm pretty confident that it's a sizing issue. But that's what we've got. As far as load with the Reloader 23, the 215 Burgers, that's the load I'm going to settle on, that 65.7. It's consistently stable. I just got to make sure that I keep the barrel clean, because this Reloader 23 seems to be just as dirty as Reloader 26.